Alright, this is another in the first read series. And that series, I just read a poem by a poet I don't know or don't know very well. I do a first reading of the poem just for the sheer joy of it, so I'm not trying to read it to teach it, not trying to think about all of its myriad possibilities. I'm just reading it, just like if I were going to go look on a beautiful scene, I wouldn't try to fit it into literary theory, fit it into all the beautiful scenes in all the world, see how it fits within the vast network of literary works. I just read it. I might change my mind if I go back to read it, and I often do when I do a second or third reading of a poem, or if I have to teach it, where I run it through the field of literary theories and stuff like that. This one I just enjoy it. This one is 5 South. It's a fairly new journal. The About section tells us it's a journal devoted to narrative-driven work, which is typically not my thing. I like narrative and everything, but I don't mind if a poem just doesn't mean something, if it just is sound. This one, I wanted to show you this page because Cora Hyatt's name is on this page. When I click on this to get to her actual poem, her name is not on that page. Cora Hyatt. This is 5south.net, by the way. So you click on this. I love this. It says 1 minute read. I don't ever read poems like that. If I sprinted through it and I just read it without thinking about it or anything, I could get through it in a minute. But when I read a poem, I don't want it to be timed in this way. I know that our act of reading as any reader is a act that takes place in time. That's one of the things that a literary piece does, and I feel like that's one of the things that makes it more difficult to encounter than some other works, like, an art piece where you could take it in. You have an experience that doesn't quite happen the same way in time. The Czar of Love is dead. I always look at the form before I look at anything. This first one, Czar of Love is dead. Here is another repeating line, so I don't know if that's going to be its own stanza, but it looks like it's connected to the poem, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stanzas. Some variation in line lengths, no jumping out at you meter, so I'm just going to read it and go from there. The Czar of Love is dead. Tell all the girls on the street. I love poems that start with directions to tell you something. I think that's why I love the troubadour's envoys at their end of their poems, where it's like, poem, go tell this person. It kind of works out pretty well. Tell all the girls on the street, and the boys in the diners with stars in their eyes. Yes, the Czar of Love is dead. He's gone and floated up the river. So the language here is pretty simple, nothing complex at all, really, and that's not bad. I like poems rich with language. I also like simple poems that work well, and this one works well. It's got a very song-like quality. Tell all the girls on the street, and the boys in diners with stars in their eyes. Yes, the Czar of Love is dead. There's a lot of iambic pieces in here. The Czar of Love is dead. Straight up iams for that rest of that line after the yes. In diners with stars in their eyes, a little substitution at the very end of the line. He's gone and floated up the river. Very song-like quality to this. I like this. Automatically reminds me of Wallace Stevens, the Emperor of Ice Cream, especially with the Czar and the Emperor. But that, essential, call the roller that starts off Wallace Stevens' poem. It's like this direction that happens. Tell all the girls on the street. It'll appear in the paper by next dawn, and the paramours will weep, and the wives will shudder. I like that sound of will weep, and the wives will. Nice sound there, shudder the blinds. Yes, the Czar of Love is dead, and he's not coming back. The Czar of Love is gone in this piece. We don't know exactly who it is. It's like love, the idea of love itself is gone. He was overthrown by the few who disagreed, or maybe the many who didn't. They shot him and buried him in the fen. Yes, the Czar of Love is dead. Dead, dead. This is one of those great things. I like the idea of this poem, that the Czar of Love is the one, that there is some kind of Czar of Love, but that person is dead is weirdly, I think, something very human. I think all of us feel at moments that love is dead, especially with first loves and breakups and things like this. Love itself has completely died at certain periods in life for people, especially for boys and girls, paramours, this kind of thing. Young lovers, whatever their sex might be or sexual desires might be, is over and buried. So fun little poem. I like the definite sense of And like the song-like quality is very musical in this one. The almost childlike way of telling it. Tell all the girls on the street. That actually reminds me a little bit of, I don't know if the poet would like this that much, but it reminds me a little bit of some of the sound of John Crowe Ransom's work, that kind of straightforward song-like quality that he gets a lot with the meter and the alliteration, but it reminds me of that kind of simple, almost childlike quality that gets across this real nice theme. So I didn't do that in a minute. It took me about five and a little bit over a half minutes to go through it. Nice little poem, Cora Hyatt.